Okay, so everyone seems to be talking about detox these days. It's on the tip of everyone's tongue. Everyone's doing cleanses. They're doing this, they're doing that. But I think so few people really understand what that means, what they're doing, why they're doing it. So today I'm talking with Warren Phillips. He is better known as the non-toxic dad. He is a scientist turned wellness innovator who has built his health after his own life-threatening toxicity-driven condition. And he now educates thousands, maybe millions, on how to live a truly non-toxic life. So we're so lucky to have him here today, because today we're going to talk about what detox really means, how environmental toxins intersect with breast health, and I want to talk about greenwashing too, because it is a huge problem. And I think people don't know what to trust, what is okay, what is not okay. And we all need some guidance. So, Warren, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here.
Dr. Jenn, I just brought the mic closer to my mouth because I want everyone to hear this message today. I know we have a woman audience, and I'm actually reaching between 40 and 50 million people a month right now through my channel that I just started a few years ago. And I didn't realize how much greenwashing there is, and how much toxicity. I now understand how much toxicity is affecting their lives, but how hard it is for people to understand this information. Take fragrance, for example, can contain a cocktail of chemicals that's hidden by trade secrets. Well, many of the times there's massive amounts of known hormone-disrupting compounds like phthalates, one of the key hormone-disrupting compounds, hidden inside of these trade secret fragrances, and it's literally ruining women's lives. And let's talk about this greenwashing when it comes to this. And of course, we'll get into other things later, but I just wanted to come right out of the gate and say that now, if you look at Glade plugins, they'll say essential now with essential oils, but essential oils is the third ingredient, and the second ingredient is perfume. That perfume is literally poisoning you. The literature is replete, peer-reviewed literature showing and stating that fragrance is a notorious toxin. It's a neurotoxin. It's neurodisruptive. It's hormone disruptive. It's probably one of the most toxic things you can have in your home, and it's in everything in your home. And you're greenwashed a lot of this time, but even brainwashed into believing that it's safe and effective, and you have to have it to be a good mom, to be a good parent, to be a good grandparent. We've been lied to through commercials. We've been brainwashed to believe that our house needs to smell good in order to be a good person. That's what they're selling you. But what I'm telling you, it's poisoning you. It's lowering your value of life, and it can lead to things like breast cancer and other hormone related dysfunction. My mom is a breast cancer survivor and lung cancer survivor. Her mom smoked, but fragrance, everyone listening, listen up. Fragrance is more toxic than the secondhand smoke that I received as a grandchild to my grandma, and that my mom received as well. My grandmother Hazel still lived to like 93 years old, because she was living mostly organic before that. My grandfather, 99 years old. Her parents, 99. These Italians that came over to live the American dream. Now it's the American scam when it comes to toxicity. How we live our lives here in America is the lowest price point possible to sell it for the most price possible. And that has led to the disease epidemic, because it's happening in how we build our homes. It's happening, which leads to mold and all these other toxins being released from these crappy products, even our drywall. And then our foods, low cost foods using soy and corn and these things that are loaded with toxins and are hormone disruptive, too much of it, right? So then our food, lower price, more value. They're not selling us this stuff and because it's better for us. They're selling it to us because it's a lower price point and it drives profits. And here we are with the most powerful audience in the world, women who are creating the change. You guys are the true leaders. You're the ones that are designed to make community and good decisions. Men, we just don't do a very good job, right? Only thing I do a good job at is getting excited and having the passion and ability to hold up women as the health decision makers in the world so that we can decrease an epidemic of not only cancer, but autism, and you name it, heart disease. We're the sickest, obesity, we're the sickest country in the world, and we need some change. So that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah, I hear you. And, I'm famously known to say, we are not living on our grandmother's earth. We're not even living on our mother's earth. And the earth that we're living on now is exponentially more toxic than anything any generation has seen before us. And yet, as you so eloquently put it out there, people are unaware, and the greenwashing that is going on is astounding. Why do you think they've been able to get away with it as long as they have? We are in the time of information. Why hasn't there been transparency around all of this?
Well, I think transparency is just finally showing up, and it hasn't been for a long time, but you really can't get away with it anymore because of social media. So if you're watching these podcasts and listening to these podcasts and you're on social media, and social media is its own toxin in some degree, it can be affecting our sleep and our health and our hormones, and as well because of the EMF. And there's that invisible toxin that's out there, and it's real and it's true.
And there are a lot of toxic people saying a lot of bad things.
Yes. And that's another huge toxicity. And I think women, because of your sensitive hearts, and that's your power source. My goal as a man is to get into my feminine, get into that power center. And that's my goal at 50, is to get into my heart, right? And to share God's love. That's my ultimate goal here, is to not be judgmental and share that love, just so you know. So when I'm saying these things, understand that I'm not coming down upon a sensitive heart, a sensitive woman who's trying to do her best as a mom, as a grandparent. I'm not trying to say that you're wrong or you're bad. I'm just trying to help you see, if you choose a non-toxic lifestyle, it's going to help you be who you're created to be, right? I'm only saying this to help you become a better you. You're awesome and amazing where you're at. I already know you're trying your best. I'm just trying to help tweak your life just a little bit so that you can keep having that impact, being that person that you want to be, so your mitochondria are working right, so you're not fighting off toxicity and all these outside insults that could be limiting your power and your influence and ultimately your health. You're not listening to this because you're at where you want to be with your health. You have health challenges. So let's rewind back to your question. How are they getting away with greenwashing? Well, there's laws and loopholes, and we haven't updated our policies. And sometimes in 70, 80 years, like the amount of ingredients I think that we have banned in America is like 4. And they just kind of revisited it recently. In other countries, it's hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of banned cosmetic ingredients. And we have a handful. I don't know if it's less than 10. And here we are, women putting this stuff on their face because we're told we have to look and be a certain way, sometimes for men. So forget about that. If you heard that, you heard it right, but don't do that. Do it for yourself. And I think many of the women listening to this do it for themselves. But there's this evolution, right? Yeah, you have that beauty that comes out, but you're being lied to with the products that you're putting on. They may be adding beauty and sometimes false beauty, but they're also poisoning the very power of who you are, which is the inside of you. And if your inside isn't good, your heart's not going to be as good, and your outside beauty is eventually going to be reflected. You can't, put a Band-Aid on this stuff. So that's the problem, right? They're allowed to get away with it in other countries, not as much. But today, good or bad with the new administration, I really like RFK. I'm not ashamed to say it because does he have incongruencies here and there? We all do. But I personally know that
he's not perfect.
Yeah, he's not perfect, and
God!
But he's lost half of his friends, right? And millions of dollars to take a run at this thing, and he's doing the best job I think he can, because politics are dirty. It's hard.
It's horrible.
Yeah, it's a horrible place to be. But with this new administration, we're seeing some change, right? At least moving towards some positivity when it comes to toxicity.
More change than we have seen in decades.
Yeah.
In 6 months. More change that we've seen in decades in 6 months.
Yep.
And of course, you're going to upset the apple cart, right? And that's part and parcel to the problem, is that much of what is out there, these are business decisions. These are not health decisions. These
Correct.
companies that put these products out there, they're just out there for a profit.
They are. And then they get bought out. Even good companies, they get bought out and then they lessen the ingredients. I know many supplement companies, several, because I've had friends that have had multiple exits, meaning that they've got paid a lot for their beautiful
Yeah.
brand. And then they source the ingredients at the cheapest cost to increase profits. And they're making
Yeah.
lots of money, making their investors and their private equity happy. That's just how it works. So the good news is there's a lot of great companies out there that are coming against the greenwashing that we're seeing today. And a lot of these brands started out great, and then all of a sudden they were these eco-friendly, healthy cleaners, and now all of a sudden there's fragrance in there, and then uh, varieties of surfactants that aren't as clean. But you can't get away with that today, right? And because of social media, because of podcasts like this, and people say all the time to me, it's like, oh, we can't win. We can't change with our buying power. You absolutely can. In America, it's a very economic driven society. And, that's what they don't want, is they want us to believe that we can't create change, but we do hold the power. I think women hold most of that power because of their leadership skills, because of their ability to have community and organize and not have less ego. And I think in some instances, you need to have more of that masculine, more of that ego can come in and control it, right? For me, I sometimes have too much ego and not enough heart, right? But I have my wife who balances me. And so that's another toxicity, is not knowing who you are as an individual and trying to be something that you're not. Really find your rhythm. And it's taken me 50 years to start to find that rhythm, to get more into my feminine, to realize that I'm more of a sensitive, heart-centered guy, and that's okay. Other men aren't, and some women are more masculine and less feminine. And we all have this different, but we are masculine and feminine. And so, I can serve the feminine and women can serve the masculine, and we can really elevate and create change in the world. That's how I think it happens, is that we get outside of, I don't want to get too far down that lane. Let's talk about toxicity and greenwashing. Here's something that you and I talked about off camera, is Lululemon Athleta. Some of the cheapest clothing you can produce, right? In another country that is some of the most toxic clothing, with lawsuits against them because of it. But we've been greenwashed, kind of, that this stuff is non-toxic and that it's safe to put on our bodies and it looks good. Well, what they've done is, because the price point is so low and they're getting it manufactured so cheap, these are a chemical soup. There's nothing natural about Lululemon products. It's 100% chemically manufactured clothing. It's essentially plastic, and worse, with plasticizers inside of it, like BPA phthalates and other environmental toxins. But they have lots of money to pay people of influence to wear them. So you are now being sold a bill of goods, is that you have value because you look like and are dressing like someone that's famous, or a health influencer that you're watching online doing sit-ups, and you're identifying with that, but you're literally being poisoned by it.
Yeah.
Literally being poisoned by it. And there's lawsuits pending, and some active even against companies like Lululemon, because the levels of toxicity that they're finding, one of them being BPA, bisphenol A, which is a known endocrine disruptor, hormone disruptor, especially in women. BPS, which is even more linked. Bisphenol S has a higher link to cancer than BPA. So if you have a plastic bottle that says, hey, I'm BPA free, they're now using BPS. So you've been greenwashed again, because they're like, hey, manufacturer, and I'll come back to Lululemon. Don't you worry, guys listening. But they literally now used BPA free to sell you a bill of goods. Oh, it's BPA free. I'm not disrupting my hormones. They're putting bisphenol S or other bisphenols. They still have to use them, but they use a different one. So they marketed to you BPA free, and you've been lied to again. You're now drinking an endocrine disrupting plastic toxin that's even worse. And then I'm going to talk about receipts, because receipts if you touch the back of a receipt, you're getting more exposure to BPA, BPS, bisphenols than you are drinking out of your plastic water bottle for a year. So that's another massive insult. So don't get receipts or grab onto them on the back, which doesn't have the chemical on there for the heat. It's the
It's
heat
the
that
drying
causes.
agent. It's the
Yeah.
drying agent for the ink. Yeah.
So you
It's like a
pinch it from
sealant.
the back. Yeah. So you pinch
Yeah.
it from the back instead,
Yeah.
or don't get
I
involved.
I will not take a receipt. Like when people offer me one, I'm like, ooh, no.
Yeah, it scares me every time I touch it, because when you look at the research, and you can look it up yourself on Google, ChatGPT, this is not one of those things that is small. It's a big insult, right? It's actually bigger than, and then the workers are being exposed to this. So this is wrong. If you're listening to this and you're a worker, I'd rather you wear rubber gloves or some sort of glove when you're doing that. And most people are doing it for germs, but you need to do it from the toxins.
I know every time I go to a store and they offer me a receipt and I look at these people who are working there and I tell them, you should not be touching them either. It's not just me that
Yeah,
shouldn't.
we're
You do
both
this
telling you
100
story.
times a day. Like you shouldn't be touching them either.
Yeah, I get heart sick for them.
I am heartsick for them. I agree
Yeah.
with you 1,000%. I remember my stepdaughter called me a couple of years ago. She had a coworker diagnosed with breast cancer, and would I talk to her? And so I spoke to her on the phone, and started to give her some direction about the things that she needs to start to change. And I happened to mention, don't touch any cash register receipts. And she called my stepdaughter afterwards and was like, is your stepmom like off the reservation? This is something that, people think we're crazy to talk about because they've been so brainwashed to believe that they're living in a safe world, but what they're living in is a world of consumers,
It's
right?
so true.
And they just want you to continue to consume, 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 and so they downplay all of these dangers.
I get it. Like the more I look into this, the more I live this life, and I believe our bodies are robust. I believe God made our bodies to heal. That when we're overwhelmed, just like if you're in a toxic relationship, you'll never truly be happy and completely fulfilled if you're constantly being beat down, right? Even if you have the strongest constitution, the strongest mindset, it's eventually going to wear you down to the point where you're living far below your full capacity. And so just like verbal abuse, the toxic abuse that we face on a daily basis is overwhelming. And our jobs as educators is to help people lessen that. Same thing as removing a few friends from your life. You'll notice when you learn to say no and not text someone back that's getting dopamine spikes from being reactive and being negative and being judgmental. When you get out of that space, you'll realize life is freaking amazing. It's so much easier than you realize, because that hate, that anger, that lower frequency is no longer affecting you at the cellular level and affecting your mind. The same thing with toxicity. It's slowly dimming the lights on your life, and you don't realize how detrimental it is. And your friends, however, right, are giving you guilt and shame about choosing this new life, but you shouldn't feel that way, right? It's your choice. Do what's in your gut. I do this on every single podcast I'm on. Follow your heart, follow your gut. We have more than 5 senses. We've been told and limited by our spiritual connection. Like God can speak to you. You're being spoken to, on a daily basis, and you're getting these gut reactions. You're a brilliant, sensitive, kind. You're feeling with your heart and all these chakras and even stuff that I don't even understand, but I know it to be true as I've aged. I'm like, wow, we are an amazing antennas for information. And we can feel even through our words and our nonverbals, like, is this guy real? Is this Dr. Jenn really coming off authentically? And I know that you are, and I know that I am. And I know that the people that are sensitive to that know that I care. Am I 100% right all the time? No, but my heart is true. I'm not trying to fantasize this toxic epidemic. I'm a survivor of toxicity. I cleaned up hazardous waste for a living. I lost my life at 25 years old. I had no hope of a family. I had no hope of having children. I was dysfunctionally sick, chemically sensitive, inflamed, headaches, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia. I wanted to take my life. I was so inflamed and insulted by toxicity from my job. But what I discovered is that our homes are more toxic than the hazardous waste I was cleaning up as an environmental scientist, as a geologist. We're being so lied to when it comes to our homes, our products, our foods, because it's driving one thing, commerce, and it's not driving health and family and community, the things that matter. And we have to get back to that. You know, if you go to Italy, if you go to other countries, you'll see what family is about. They care about the land. They care about where the food comes from. There's honor, there's integrity. And when it gets changed and switched and moved to commerce, and a lot of these countries, even in Italy and Sicily, it's starting to happen that way, but they're fighting back for the old ways. The old ways, the tribal ways are so important. And because of religiosity, because of so much, and the Rockefellers and like all of these things, not to get into conspiracy, but it's driven into a money-driven, egocentric universe that we now live in, and we can fight back, and we can really choose these things like great companies that are coming against Lululemon. And closing this loop for you guys, my wife just texted me, Marie makes the most congruent, sexy, tight, athletic clothing you could possibly ever want. And it's not poisoning you on a daily basis. Because when you wear this stuff, ladies, and we can stitch this in and put it on a social media clip, but when you wear this stuff and you heat it up, there's electrostatic stuff happening too. So it's not only poisoning you, because as you heat this stuff up, or you're getting the microplastics literally can absorb through your skin.
Yep.
Literally, because these plastics degrade.
The places of contact, right? On your breasts.
Yes.
Right. So you are literally absorbing those toxins directly into your breasts, which are already a reservoir for toxin storage.
Yeah, that's a high lymphatic area.
Areas in the coal mine, and then we are giving them direct access to these toxins and the vagina. So this is these microplastics and everything that is in this synthetic clothing is in direct contact with your most vulnerable organs
and absorbable areas, and
yes.
your lymphatic. And they've done studies. Yeah, they've done studies. They've found microplastics embedded in vaginas, in your testicles. Like these things, in some studies show we have a teaspoon size of microplastics embedded into our heads. And that's just not the chemicals that are being absorbed. That's the microplastics that are being absorbed because these things degrade. If you watch the documentary, I don't know what it is. I can't think of the name of it, like Plastic Ocean or something like that. But they're opening up birds, microplastics. The fish have these microplastics. We're eating. Yeah. Our world has been destroyed by plastics. We got to get away from this modern convenience, this plastic world. And here's the problem, guys. It's not just the microplastics that are increasing your risk of dementia, cancer, heart disease. And this is what all the literature is showing. When they look at cadavers of people that died of heart disease, they're finding 1,000 times the amount of microplastics, whether it's Alzheimer's in the brain or in heart disease in the arteries, because it causes inflammation and plaquing. And so
it's incorporated into plaque.
Yes.
They're actually seeing the microplastics in the plaque.
I love you because you understand this stuff, and we're having such a beautiful conversation. And when we're talking about the research, this isn't BS, guys. And then on top of that, once that plastic's inside of you and it continues to degrade, it's releasing the hormone-disrupting compounds like phthalates, BPA, BPS. It doesn't go away. It stays in the plastic, and it's embedded in your gut, in your colon. No wonder why we've inflamed colon and gut problems, right? And you're not going to fix it with a probiotic. You have to allow your body to decrease the amount of toxins in your life by changing your clothes, changing your food, switching to glass, and getting back to, and this is sustainable. This is how we help the environment. You know, we reuse glass instead of making plastic. And bioplastics, by the way, greenwashing. They still use plasticizers to make this stuff. The bag that biodegrades still degrades into microplastics, guys. It's plastics that have been used, maybe a more sustainable source, but all the chemicals, all the resources are toxic and are still trashing the environment, it's just going to degrade. It's less microplastics, but it's going to degrade in a landfill, and we feel good about it. But if you move from a Ziploc bag, which is being sued, by the way, because they're not microwave safe, they're not freezer safe, because the freezing and heating releases tons of microplastics into your food, or if you freeze it, tons of microplastics into your food.
Yeah.
So they're being sued
Anytime that you change states, like
Yep.
solid to liquid, if you freeze it or if you heat it, it doesn't matter. It is getting incorporated into the food.
It's in this modern convenience, this low, it costs them pennies to make this stuff, and they're selling it to you at a premium price. There's massive price margins, but then you could get a glass container. It'll save your money. It'll help the environment. It's completely recyclable. Of course, the energy it takes to recycle glass is pretty high, but if you're using it, I have the ones that I bought when I got married from Costco. It has a plastic lid. You know, you can get the ones with bamboo now, and because the market has changed, but that was all we had back then.
Yeah.
Is the glass Ziploc, and I think it's probably the same company, so I'm still supporting a company that's poisoning people, but at the same time, I have a glass container that I use over and over again. And here's some other things we can use. Silicone is great, I believe, if it's cold storage, even freezing to a degree. Silicone bags are great. You can use them over and over and over again. And as long as you're making sure it says food grade silicone. But if you heat things up in silicone, I'm okay with freezing according to the research. But I think if it's as low as like 255 degrees Fahrenheit in some of the studies, especially when you get up to around 350, you're releasing siloxanes. Silicone isn't safe. It's still a chemical, right? But it releases siloxanes. So I wouldn't use it in plastic spatulas. Siloxanes are carcinogenic if we're talking about cancer. So I wouldn't promote silicones, anything at heat, right? But what do the chefs use? What do they use in Italy? They're using wood, mostly wood. And don't worry about them getting, as long as you're not soaking them in water and dirt, they're pretty antimicrobial. You just wash them off, and once a year you boil them, and then you reseal them with antimicrobial beeswax. So wood's the best. And it's not clinky clanky. It's not scraping the steel or the cast iron where you're going to get some of that. People boohoo cast iron because you're using it improperly and you're scraping with stainless steel. But if you use wood, you're not scraping and releasing heavy metals, especially in stainless steel. So, and you can get 18-0 stainless steel, which is 18% chromium, 0% nickel. And there's companies that are now making that, and it has a huge comeback because most stainless steel is 1810, and nickel is also, I think, a probable carcinogen. I'm not sure. Maybe more on that, but there's a lot of nickel allergies, and that could trigger autoimmune. And
it definitely triggers autoimmunity. And the way to know if what you have has a considerable amount of nickel is put a magnet to your cookware. If the magnet sticks, you have a lot of nickel in there because the magnet won't stick to stainless steel.
No, it will not. You're right. 1810 it won't stick to. 18-0 it will. Correct? Yes. Yep.
It sticks to the nickel.
It sticks to the nickel.
Yeah.
So
I have that right.
I always get it switched around. That's why I'm asking you.
It sticks to the nickel. So if the magnet sticks, there's too much nickel in there. And what you want is the pure stainless steel.
Yeah, you want the 18-0 if you can get it. It's hard to get. Now, you can do 1810 stainless. I'm not against it. But here's where I am against it. And so I buy 18-0 pots. I have it on my Non-Toxic Dad store. There are some that are available, but for making pasta sauces, because I'm Italian, I just got my Italian citizenship. I do want to, Non-Toxic Dad may be broadcasting from Italy in the next 5 years. I'm so,
that's so exciting.
Yeah. I'm so heartsick, and I have a beautiful home. I have a beautiful community. We homeschool. I have chosen to create a beautiful life from the ashes of sickness. And it has driven me there, right? Just staying in your heart, staying and serving people. And, I've been coaching functional medicine doctors on detoxification for 15 years. I'm not doing that any longer. And I'm like, I'm having more impact with the public. Like I said, 50 million people get to hear not the salesy BS, but the truth about toxicity that's not grounded. Nothing that I'm saying is fear mongering. All of it, everything that I say is true. Now, is some things worse than others? But I just did a video on Dawn dish soap, and it's going viral because everybody's using it. I just launched it, and if you look at the views, I just peeked at it before this. It's peaking because everybody's using Dawn dish soap, and you can choose to use Dawn dish soap. But when you look at the back, it's all synthetic ingredients. Everything is chemical besides water, right? And it leaves residues. It hurts your gut, right? Which is a big line of defense. It's hurting the microbiome, which is the key to disease or not having disease, having a very diverse microbiome, right? And we'll talk about mouthwash in a second too. But because we're lied to about that, like bad breath and all that, and we destroy the microbiome, which can lead to heart disease and all these other problems. We'll go there. But the Dawn dish soap is something that everybody has been told to use. And here's some greenwashing. They used it to clean these ducts, right? It's so soft, it can clean a duct. So surely the embedded command is that it's safe, that it's good for the environment, that it's good for you. It's bad for the environment. It's using toxic chemicals, which are bad for the environment.
I mean, doesn't the blue alone give it away for people?
Yeah. It's nuts. But the colors are actually what sells it, right? And that's why they had the food colorings in Lucky Charms, is because they found and tested. This is a science to people, right? The fragrances and natural flavors are made by Givaudan, I think, out of Switzerland, and they make chemical fragrances and chemical, artificial and natural flavors. But they're all tested to drive dopamine, serotonin, and the colors will drive purchase as well. These bright colors that get our attention. That's why you have red stop signs, and there's a whole science to color as well.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
They're manufactured to create addiction versus through the olfactory sense, which is right into your brain. That's why they're neurotoxins, because they're not natural. So it's like a flower, but it's more powerful than the scent of a flower or a geranium or something that's natural or God made. And it excites your neurology to get you addicted to it. So you're addicted to these fragrances. You're told that you smell good, that you're more attractive, that you're more beautiful, that your house is more clean. And Givaudan has scientists literally design, and they tell you, yes, we designed these things. They've been caught on camera saying it. That they chemically design these things to mimic nature, but to be addictive. And so this is the world we live in.
Are you ready for a breast cancer screening revolution? Well, I'm thrilled to introduce to you a breast cancer screening tool that I have only recently learned about, but I have universally adopted. This is the ARIA test. This groundbreaking at-home breast cancer screening test is one that I believe will completely change the game. So imagine a screening test that's as simple as shedding a tear, because that's ARIA. It's a non-invasive, convenient, and perfect for all bodies and all breasts. Dense breasts, implants, no problem. ARIA makes it clear for everyone, even women as young as 30. ARIA is backed by over a decade of clinical trials, thousands of samples, and it's developed alongside top breast health experts. Here's how it works. You collect a tear sample at home, and then ARIA then analyzes it for protein biomarkers that can signal early breast cancer. And the best part, you get a consultation with a breast health specialist to review your results. Now, ARIA isn't replacing breast imaging. I am using it alongside QT. It's complementing it and giving you a fuller picture of your breast health. Knowledge is power, and ARIA is putting that power back in your hands. It's time to take control of your breast health, and ARIA is another way of doing it. Go to aria.care, AURIA.care, and use my code DrJenn20 in capitals, DRJENN20, to get 20% off. Back to our show.
There are scientists charged with sitting in a room and engineering these things so that we become addicted to them. This is the food industry. This is everything. I mean, they spend billions and billions of dollars to make sure that we buy these products, that they're hacking into our brain and getting us stimulated and addicted right?
Just like the drug epidemic. It's no
It's,
different.
it's no different. It's no different. And okay, so here's my conspiracy
Go
theorist
ahead, go
part
for
of
it.
me. This is all very intentional. It's the same thing with the mammogram industry. It's the radiate them every year so that they develop the disease, right? It's the same thing with our food industry. Feed them garbage so that they get sick and have to utilize pharmaceuticals. It are all of our industry, all of our commerce is specifically designed for you to utilize more of the system. And it's really, really sad. And unfortunately, I haven't found anyone who can convince me otherwise. Because at every step along the way, it is specifically designed to get more people in the system.
It's designed, and I think the driving force of that, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a realist, and I wouldn't say what you're saying is conspiracy, and why it's not, because it's all driven for commerce, right? And the dollar. I don't think they think that some people do, some people know, right? Just like, but they're so driven by money and blinded by money, they don't see anything else. And I see it over and over again in humanity. We start making money with a MLM, or we start making money from something that we're promoting, say a pharmaceutical drug, and then we have to believe it, even though we hear this other information. If we listen to it, we actually push it away. Our brains won't allow it in because it breaks down our whole lifestyle. It removes our safety, our economics. So for them to believe the truth, and this is why RFK is doing such a great job, is he's slowly and methodically dismantling some of these bad beliefs. And the companies and great influencers like yourself, like the Food Babe, who everyone yells at. I'm not part of the Maha movement. I'm not, but I do support a lot of what they're doing. I have a different angle. I have a different, method, because I'm casting a wide net. I love everybody, whether you're vegan, whether you're doing toxic things. It doesn't matter to me. My job is to be like, okay, here's some information, choose it or not. Is your brain ready to hear it? Maybe not. You're going to say no because you love your fragrance. And I get it. I'm not mad at you. If you want to keep it, go for it. We all have a choice. We all need to be responsible to ourselves. But here's my challenge to you. Go ahead and research this stuff and understand that it's painful to make change. It's painful to leave that relationship. It's painful to get rid of that perfume. I get it. You're addicted to it, but make some change, because it will give you a better life. It will lead you away from disease. It will lead you towards God, towards nature, and towards community and the things that really matter. But let's talk black and white here, and something that's really something that you're an excellent source of information for. And it's not conspiracy, but alcohol. It's run by the states, right? It's a poison that was allowed during that pandemic that lowered your immune system, and they kept it open. It's a massive economic engine, and it's poison to society. Cigarettes, like all these toxins.
Can you imagine that during that time, state stores were allowed to be open? You couldn't go to the gym. You couldn't go anywhere, but you could go to the state store. It is mind-boggling, but proves our point.
It does.
And
the economic loss was too much.
We're so disconnected from the truth. We are so disconnected from the truth. I think about that Netflix documentary Dope Sick. Did you watch that one with Michael Keaton? Not. It's like the OxyContin story, right? Where all of these drug reps were kind of fed a script, and they were told that the drug that they were pushing was not addictive and the best thing for postoperative pain. I was a surgical resident at the time. I mean, like, I remember my OxyContin rep, and they would come and they would give us this talk that, this is the best thing that we can do for patients. And I don't even know how many scripts I wrote. And the thing is, they were making a fortune, And it was really hard for them to see the truth. There ended up being a couple whistleblowers that led to, kind of pulling back the curtain on all of that. But most people were so caught in the system, they believed what they were told. They were richly rewarded for getting that drug out there. I mean, those drug reps made a fortune on that drug, and it blinds you. It blinds you to the truth.
It does, because it's your security, it's your safety. You're going out to dinner. You think you're living your best life, but you're really not. It's the matrix. Remember the guy said, I just want to eat the steak. It isn't a full life. It isn't a connected life. It isn't one that truly feels and experiences nature. You're disconnected from community, yourself, and you're stuck in an economic engine that's just horrible, right? And we're driven by social media, by TV, which I don't watch, to live inside of that matrix, and we need to get out of it. Let's go back to alcohol, because I think there's some amazing stats on how it leads to breast cancer, and I'd love to have that and maybe even share this clip on my social media, because I think it's really important. And who better to share that than Dr. Jenn here today?
Yeah. So alcohol, as far as I'm concerned, is the number one controllable risk factor for breast cancer.
Come on.
And, we can talk about obesity and its role in breast cancer, but abstinence from alcohol is far easier for people to do than to control being overweight or obese. Not that that is beyond their control. It isn't. But abstinence from alcohol is, in my opinion, the number one thing that you can do to prevent a breast cancer or to prevent a recurrence. And people largely do not understand, or somehow there has been a normalization of alcohol consumption, and it is somewhat caught up culturally because it is celebratory in a lot of religions. It's ceremonial. And so there has been so much normalization around alcohol that we disconnect it from what it is and what it does. So this is one area where, and I'm not saying it's good for men, please don't hear that, but there is a vast difference between the effects of alcohol in women and the effects of alcohol in men. And women are much more complex beings from a chemical and hormonal perspective than men are. Men have a 24-hour rhythm, and their processes are more predictable. They have bigger livers. This is all metabolized by the liver. Men have bigger livers than women. So when a woman drinks alcohol, not only does her liver have to detoxify that alcohol, which takes 8 hours. 8 hours. It also has to then figure out how it's supposed to do everything else and detoxify that alcohol. And your liver is always going to go to the thing that will hurt you the most, right? Yeah. So alcohol is going to be the most toxic thing that your liver is dealing with. And so it's going to take care of that, and it's going to take care of that at the expense of what it was supposed to be doing, which for most women, it's detoxifying your hormones.
Come on. No one's saying this enough, right?
Yeah.
It's such a powerful thing, because you have to methylate out the alcohol because it's prioritizing that poison, and it can't methylate out the estrogens that you're dealing with, this complexity that you're talking about. So these estrogens, which can lead, estrogen dominance can lead to cancer. And why I led you to this conversation is when I left college, my mom got depressed. She started drinking alcohol, and guess what she got?
Yeah.
Breast cancer.
Breast cancer.
Because she was drinking out of her coffee cup and drinking wine to give her motivation to clean her house. And there's women listening to this that are drinking and said, alcohol gives me energy. It removes my depression. Yes, I get it. It can do that for you. But long term, it's leading to death and destruction in your life. It's not worth it. If you want to have a glass of wine socially, what does the literature say? A woman can maybe get away with like a half a glass a day. A guy can get away with a glass maybe. I'm pretty much no alcohol at this point, and I'm a dude, and I have a bigger liver. I just don't do well with it. And how can I be congruent? How can I be non-toxic dad? One of the greatest gifts non-toxic dad gave me is added congruency in my life. I was drinking probably a couple drinks a week just on the weekends before non-toxic dad social media channel. Now I'm drinking a few drinks a year because of the non-toxic dad channel, and I only do it celebratory, ceremonially. It has to be for a purpose. And every time I drink it, I still freaking get a headache, and I hate what it does to my body. I hate how it changes my personality. I just don't like it anymore because my body has learned, and it's taken me literally 2 years to remove that addiction. The research says for an alcoholic, it takes 3 to 4 years for the brain to lose that addiction. I believe social drinkers, based on my experience, it's taken me years to break it where I don't want it, right? Where I can have one drink and be like, ugh, right? But a year after I quit drinking alcohol, I drink one and be like, ooh, that felt good. I want another. After 2 years, a little bit. After 3 years, I'm like, I can definitely don't want another one. I hate how I feel because my body has prioritized other things. It hasn't learned to survive by the pathways that it was upregulating to deal with alcohol consumption just by drinking on the weekend have been so weakened that now it's prioritizing other things in my body. So now when I drink alcohol, it's a foreign invader that it reacts to. That's what I want. I want my body reactive to alcohol. I want it. And I told this story the other day. I'm like, there's one time in my life where alcohol didn't bother me. I decided to drink every day as an experiment because all my friends could drink and not get hungover. And I always got hungover because I studied and worked hard and, double major and a minor, and I went to graduate school and I was very driven to do well. But I'd spent a summer where I was drinking and I drank so much, I no longer got hungover. I knew what it felt like to be an alcoholic because it didn't bother me. I could drink from dawn to dusk and I was fine. But at what cost to my life? I'm aging at the cellular level. I'm going to die younger. I'm going to increase my risk of cancer and heart disease and all these problems. So it may feel good in the moment in that short-term feeling, but long-term, you're trading it off for less time with your grandchildren, less time with your children. You're trading it for reactivity with your husband, your wife, and your children because your methylation is bottomed out, right? And when you don't methylate well, your hormones are off. Your cortisol is off. You're gaining weight. You're going to be more reactive. It's a depressant. Your mood's going to be worse. All these things. And Dr. Jenn said it, and I'm going to say it again for the camera, for the clip we're going to make out of this. The number one way, according to Dr. Jenn, to reduce
number one modifiable risk factor
in breast cancer is eliminating alcohol consumption. That is beautiful. We've made an impact today, Dr. Jenn. If people get that and make a change, we're changing families. We're changing generations. Now you're not normalizing alcohol consumption around your children, so they're not going to drink. You're breaking this cycle. Hey, if you're going to Italy and you're living a perfect life that's non-toxic and you have a glass of wine with dinner, that's different because you're living in America. You're living in a toxic food, toxic environment that's far different than what they're living in Italy. They're living like our grandparents did, where they came from. At least mine came from there. Maybe yours came from somewhere else. But now you're here in America and we do not have that luxury. If you go to move to Italy, I don't mind you poisoning your body once a day with a glass of wine. In my opinion, this is all my opinion. I think it's probably okay because you're eating all organic. There's no GMOs, glyphosate, like all of that stuff. For us, with leaky gut and food allergies and inflammation, and we're breathing in and eating a half a credit card of microplastics a week. Like, this is nasty stuff that we're living here. It's not quite the same when you're living overseas. And the greatest predictor of longevity is community, more so than the foods that we're eating in many cases.
Yeah. And the poison is in the dose, right? So we're getting dosed exponentially more than they are overseas in every aspect, in all the things that you talked about today, in our clothing, in the products that we're putting in, on, and around us, in our food. We are being intentionally and oftentimes unknowingly poisoned, right?
Yep.
I think that people literally, when we know better, we do better, and people simply don't know. We've been so greenwashed, we've been so mansplained, sorry, that we don't know, and so we don't do the things that can help us. So I have heard you say that detox is more important than nutrition. Can you explain that and what that means to you?
Well, the reason I believe that to be true is I ate the perfect diet. I was, exercising, trying all these things, but toxicity had my mitochondrial function so low that I couldn't detoxify, that I couldn't absorb nutrients. So when you have an attacker that's literally holding off the things that heal your body, it's really hard to get those nutrients, to get your gut microbiome that's being destroyed by mercury amalgams in your mouth, leaking, not just going up and affecting your hypothalamus pituitary and your hormones and your thyroid, but it's dripping this mercury down into your gut, and mercury kills everything. That's why they're getting it out of vaccines finally, but thanks to RFK. And that is a travesty that we put mercury at the doses that they put in there. Even according to my EPA standards, according to environmental cleanup, it's a hazardous waste. I would have to have a full-faced respirator on, supplied air respirator on, to be around the amount of mercury that can be released from amalgam fillings, from the dose that you're getting inside of vaccines, because it kills everything. Mercury is the god of deception. That's what mercury is. It's the second most toxic thing on the planet. It jams up your immune system and causes that reaction. And so when you have a mercury amalgam fillings, it's dripping this into your gut and destroying your microbiome, which is your defense. And these bacteria are necessary for breaking down fats and nutrients. And you're literally wiping out the good guys, destroying diversity. A healthy person has a diverse microbiome. The fingerprint of your health is healthy microbiome, healthy person. Diabetic microbiome, diabetic person. There's fingerprints. Autoimmune fingerprint in your microbiome, you have autoimmune disease. It's so critical to that. So I believe detoxification is more important than nutrition, because you're removing the things that are limiting your body from functioning normally. You're removing the interference so the body can do what it's supposed to do. You could eat the perfect diet, but if you have mercury amalgam fillings and you're living in a moldy home, you're done for. And a big cause of breast cancer is linked to mycotoxin exposure as well, right? It's in the literature. So that's why I believe detoxification is more important than nutrition. And to end this, how do you detoxify? Don't be duped. Don't be fooled. There's certain, people will take a detox product like this, and there's lots of them on the market, and they'll say, oh, it kills parasites. It binds every toxin on the planet. Just take this. That's all you need to do. Bullcrap. Number one thing you need to do, you need to remove the sources of toxins in your life, the microplastics, the clothing, the food. Start that journey. Yes, you can use a real detox product, but know that not one detox product binds one thing. And I believe binding toxins is the number one way to support your body to bind toxins, is the number one way to lower that toxic load right away, right? More than a liver cleanse, which pushes toxins out, things like that. So I love binders. I've been teaching doctors about binders for 15 years. I developed the very first binder that bound mycotoxins in the gut by binding the bile. I found a study out of Italy. They had a type of carbon that they were using as a cholesterol lowering drug, and the mechanism of action was binding bile. Dr. Shoemaker was using cholestyramine. He has the research to prove it, that you bound a mycotoxin exposure in a moldy home and the removed mycotoxins. Now there's testing you can do from Vibrant Labs and a lot of the work that you would do, Dr. Jenn. We can refer you to a doctor through our network of doctors that we work with. But you were able to lower the mycotoxic load by binding the bile. So carbon is good for binding organic toxins. It's not good for binding heavy metals. It's good for binding bile, which has a lot of the cholesterol and fats that dumps out of your lower intestine, and you grab it and it's able to pull some of that toxic bile complex that's being dumped from your liver as toxins like mycotoxins are being processed. and other toxins and removing them from your body. So carbon is good for that. I have a product I think that you're putting out in your newsletter today or tomorrow called True Carbon Cleanse. It's like the 7th generation physician grade carbon product. It doesn't have tons of heavy metals and contaminants. It's non-toxic project certified. We test for over 7 toxic heavy metals, not just 4, what the FDA requires, the big 4 being lead, mercury, cadmium, and nickel. So that being said, that's a great way to lower your toxic load, and that'll bind the mold toxins, and some of the organic pesticides and toxins are good for that. And then for heavy metals, there's nothing better than a zeolite. I have a patented clean zeolite. It's patented liposomal to help with absorption. We also patented the zeolites, the magnetic cage sizes to support your body's natural ability to detoxify. It's US and internationally patented, so that when I give this to somebody, there's no measurable heavy metals in my product. Every other zeolite product, even with lower amounts of zeolite in it, have tons of heavy metals, Dr. Jenn. They're loaded with them, some of them above Prop 65, which is 0.5 micrograms today. You can't measure that inside of here. So it's the Lamborghini. It's the one that's making a difference and impact in people's lives. And I haven't bragged about it because I've been afraid, because I didn't want to be that guy. But as I've measured every other zeolite product out there, a lot of the carbon products, they're lying to you. They're saying that fulvic and humic acids bind heavy metals. They're actually kind of weak binders for that. Like, they're just telling a story. Fulvic and humic acids are great if you can get uncontaminated ones. They can bind a little bit of toxins, a little bit of heavy metals, but they're not a really good true binder. They're great at delivering micronutrients. They're great at delivering minerals. They have some ion exchange. But call a spade, guys. If you're listening to this and you have a product, start telling the truth. Actually do the research on what your product actually does. Don't try to just sell it, right? And I'm not selling a ton of this stuff. I'm not the big company out there, making these big claims so that they can sell a lot. Zeolites are great at mostly one thing. They do have in the literature, they can bind some mycotoxins, yes. They can bind some BPA, yes. But what they're great at, zeolites in nature are great at binding heavy metals. Amazing at radioactive compounds like uranium, which you're getting in your fish because of Fukushima and all the other radioactive, wastes that we've dealt with, right? So I hated to go off on that, but no, I don't. I'm proud of myself for going off on that, because the truth needs to be told. We need to be telling consumers and being safe. And one thing that I do, that's why I started Non-Toxic Project, Jenn, and I'll get off my soapbox, is that I started the Non-Toxic Project to hold companies accountable to the amount of heavy metals they're putting in their product, because they design them for price point, and sometimes they design them for being organic. But unfortunately, they're not designing them to be low in heavy metals, and that's a big, big issue when it comes to supplements. Dr. Jenn and I are going to work together to create a product, and I'm not part of the owner of the company. She just came to me because she heard from a friend about how efficacious I am, and we're going to build a product together that is going to be super low in heavy metals. We're not going to choose organic necessarily, because a lot of the organic stuff is more contaminated. We're going to choose to make a product that's going to support your it's going to be a blocker, right? I'm not going to get into to open it up, but we're going to make sure it's safe for people to take. We're going to put it in a glass bottle. We're going to be efficacious, and it might be a little higher price point, but it's actually going to work. It's going to have the right amounts. It's going to be full transparency. This is where the market's going, because Dr. Jenn and following like this, they want the truth, and we're here to give it to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what we're doing together is helping to support everyone on hormone replacement, or everyone who has had a hormone positive breast cancer. And that's because most people, practitioners included, don't understand what a hormone positive breast cancer means. Most people, practitioners included, don't know what hormone replacement is doing and how to do it safely.
Yes.
Right? It's being kind of standardized, and no one is thinking about it on an individual basis. And they don't understand what estrogen is doing on a cellular level and how it's doing it. So they don't know how to protect patients. And so we're going to make a product that will keep patients safe regardless of whether or not their practitioner knows how to do it safely.
Hello, my beautiful listeners. I'm taking a quick break here to share something truly transformative with you today. If you're ready to take control of your breast health journey, then you need to get your hands on a copy of my book, The Smart Woman's Guide to Breast Cancer. I wrote this book to make a massive impact in the world of breast cancer, empowering women everywhere to make informed choices and educated decisions. You have so much more power and control over your health than you might think. And this is a roadmap to harnessing that power. Inside, you'll uncover the truth about conventional treatments, their often overestimated benefits, and underestimated, underexplained, and underdisclosed long-term side effects. But more importantly, you'll discover the true drivers of health and how the choices you make at home every day can lead you to the best health, the breast health of your life, even after a breast cancer diagnosis. Whether you're looking to prevent a diagnosis, avoid recurrence, or simply live your healthiest life, this book is for you. Join me on this journey to empowerment and health. Grab your copy of The Smart Woman's Guide to Breast Cancer today, and let's revolutionize the way that we approach breast health together.
That's always been a big pain point for me with estrogen replacement. It does change your life, right? It really can help so many women.
Yes.
But it's leading to cancer, and that's always been my problem with it, right? Especially if you're drinking alcohol, right? You're driving more hormones that your body has to process. You don't have the methylation to take care of it, and these toxic hormones build up even more quickly. And that's been really scary for me. And I'm not Dr. Jenn, I don't know the hormone. I'm a detox support guy, right? I'm not a endocrinologist. I'm not a hormone specialist like you. And to understand that you can actually do this safely, help women get their life back, then maybe even get off of it as you remove the interference and the body heals. But sometimes there's a time and a place for support. And I do believe that, you can take the harder road and be miserable for a while, and you can, be super crunchy. I'm more the super crunchy guy, but not everyone, we have jobs and families, and we need to get back online quickly.
I want to address that because
yes, address it.
There is no detox that is ever going to replace ovarian function. So you can be cleaner and live cleaner and be healthier, but if you lack estrogen, estrogen is the hormone of life. And those increased risks with hormone replacement, it's not the estrogen that causes breast cancer. In fact, breast cancer, despite common understanding, is not a disease of hormone excess. It's a disease of hormone deficiency, which is why we see it in the postmenopausal population and not the premenopausal population by and large. But the issue with how hormone replacement is being most commonly delivered in this country is a problem because oral estrogens are a problem. Synthetic estrogens and specifically synthetic progestins are a problem. The delivery methods, when they're being given as creams, they are in solvents, and all of these solvents are xenoestrogens. These are
That's crazy.
Yes. So it's not the estrogen. It's the solvent that the estrogen is in. So if you're using a patch or a cream or something like that, you're consuming gallons of this stuff over the years, and these are all xenoestrogens. So it's the delivery method that matters more than anything else, and what you touched on, because I won't prescribe hormone replacement to people who are still drinking alcohol. I won't prescribe hormone replacement to people who aren't lifting weights and committed to sleep and detoxification and all those things, because hormone replacement is wonderful. It's amazing, but it is the bow on top of the box. The box is all the stuff that you need to do and have in place, right? And when you do that, it does not increase your risk of breast cancer. It does not increase your risk of recurrence. But if you're on hormone replacement, living the same toxic life that you were living before and drinking, a glass of wine every night with dinner, you're at significant risk. And that's not something that I'm willing to partner with, because this is all a partnership, right? And we talked about this before. The reason that I stopped drinking alcohol was I'm going to walk my talk, and I'm not going to look at someone else and say, you can't drink alcohol, you can't have a cocktail, you can't have wine with dinner, and then sit down at my dinner table and do exactly the opposite. So granted, it worked out for me because I didn't like the way that I felt after I drank. And I think that that is largely because the cleaner you are, the cleaner a life you live, the less you'll tolerate, right? Like I walk into those stores that have the candles or the
Oh my
scents or
gosh.
whatever, or there are very, very famous hotel chains that have like a brand smell.
Yeah, their signature scent,
And
and
I walk in,
your
I
clothing
have
and your
an
bag
instant
smells
headache.
like it. It's great, gross.
I have an instant headache. And there are places where I literally cannot stay because I cannot stand that signature scent. It's
The
horrible.
W is a place where I won't stay. The W, Brandon Marriott, because of that. They have a W
Yeah.
signature scent,
And
probably manufactured by
in
Givaudan.
addition,
Yeah, it's sad.
it's awful. I was just at an event at the Edition, and the second I walked in, I was like, oh yes, this is why I never stay here. Because it just like hits you over the head and you get an immediate headache. So the cleaner you are, the less you will tolerate. And I mean, we know that from a biologic standpoint, that's because, you said you built up a tolerance to drinking so that you didn't get a headache anymore.
Yep.
That was because you ramped up your CYP enzymes, those liver enzymes. And so your liver was making more and more and more. So it got used to detoxifying the alcohol, but it did it at the expense of something else because it has finite capability. So you can build your liver up to kind of help you and protect against a frequent toxin, but you are going to have a finite ability to do that, and something else is going to be sacrificed, right? And so my liver isn't used to detoxifying much at all because I have air filters running in every room in my house, because I'm filtering my water, because I don't use anything with fragrance or perfume or anything like that. And all my products are clean, and I only eat organic food, and I'm very careful about what I supplement. I'm very bad at taking supplements, so that works out
Me too at
perfectly.
times. Yeah.
Um, and so, because of that, I have very little tolerance for toxins. And when I get exposed to them, I really feel it.
Me too. Yep. We're the same. And you just gave, if I hope people took notes, but the answer to anti-aging as well. When you live that life, toxins are the greatest insult to aging. They drive cellular senescence. They drive they destroy your skin in the tight junctions. It's one of I'm trying to think of the medical term for it. It's in the literature. What is it called? We'll put it in the show notes, but it talks about toxins, and there's a name for it in
Like
scientific
ages,
literature. What?
advanced
No, not advanced glycation end products,
Yeah,
or whatever
I
that one.
couldn't get that word out of my mouth.
Yeah. So, but the one, it's called derived cellular senescence. It messes with collagen production and obviously hormones, but all the anti-aging. It'll come to me in a minute. But toxins are one of the greatest insults and causes of aging and
Right.
early death, because it drives cellular senescence when a toxin comes in and disrupts the cell. right? And that cell is no longer a healthy cell. Your body has to replicate a new one to make up for the dysfunctional cell, so you don't get what? The big C, right? But the problem is, as cells they only have a life cycle of so much. They can only replicate so many times, but then you have a bunch of dead, useless cells that can't replicate anymore, and they just stagnate your body. And now they're
Those
like
are
little
the
batteries
zombie
that can't
cells that
produce
people
energy.
talk about.
They can't produce ATP. They can't fuel ATP, which takes 4 ATP to create a glutathione, which is a body natural antioxidant, anti-aging, right? So now you have lower energy. Now your life's more miserable, right? And so toxins drive you towards early death, and on the inside, which shows up on the outside because it's affecting your anti-aging, how your skin looks and everything else. So when you live the lifestyle that you just said, Dr. Jenn, by eliminating toxins, it's the true answer to longevity. And this is my problem with the biohacking thing. Like we're not talking, we should be talking not about red light therapy that's driving commerce. We should be talking about going for a morning walk and being outside and in the morning sun and getting those infrared rays into our skin, into our body, which is producing the right hormones that save us and protect us from cancer and help our hormones. Things like cholesterol sulfate do you need to produce, I believe, in the hormone pathway, estrogens, right? Cholesterol sulfate. Yeah.
It's the base molecule.
Yeah. So you need
So
that. You need the freaking sunshine to produce it.
All these people are on statins and they're walking around with cholesterols in the 70s and 80s and don't understand why they don't feel well. And it's like these practitioners that are writing for statins and telling these people that these low cholesterol numbers are good, and yet the men are depressed and impotent, and the women have no mood, no libido, no desire, no energy. It's because you have no cholesterol. You need cholesterol. We have vilified cholesterol for the purposes of selling drugs. But you need cholesterol. Cholesterol is a good thing, not a bad thing.
It's one of the most important nutrients in our body, and it's being demonized. That's another thing. It's all, again, comes back to money. This is like one of my favorite podcasts, just because we're so on the same page. You live the life. You're making the same decisions. Keeping people accountable to self-responsibility, not judging them in the same breath. Make your choice.
No judgment.
Yeah. So it's really cool to someone to land in the same place that I've landed, and knowing that your integrity, you can't, even when we were talking about your product, it was kind of cool. I'm like, look, we're going to have to, it's going to be more expensive, but we might have to, it's still, we might have to remove some nutrients. We can't make it perfect, but we're going to make something that's going to make a difference. And it's not going to be cheap. And you're like, I know, I'll do whatever it takes to create something that is full of integrity. And most people who ask me and want my support in that area, people don't know that I've been making physician level supplements and formulating for over 15 years and helping a lot of some of the big brands. I've never really honestly done well for myself and talking about the supplements that I produce, but I do highly recommend Cyto Detox, by the way, as a daily protection to support your body's natural ability to protect itself daily from toxins, just to keep that load down. It's safe. It's a true, it supplies zeolites, which are true binders, and the cages are clean and all that stuff. But to come back and to circle back around, it's been a real pleasure. I want to come back on again and talk about mouthwash and how it's destroying your gut. Let's talk about the microbiome and all these topics that I can have an open and honest conversation with someone who knows the science better than I do when it comes to hormones. This is so nice. I know these things because I've heard them so many times from teaching doctors, and I'm like, cholesterol sulfate, yeah, that's important for hormones, right? And you're like, absolutely, it's the base. So you really fill in the gaps in what's not my expertise.
Well, I loved having you. I want to leave people with something really practical, because if you're not you and you're not me and you haven't been investigating this for the last however many years of your life, what are some things that are big lever movers for people? where they can look around their house or look around their, immediate environment and make some really meaningful shifts. Like where do you think those places are? So if you're kind of just starting out on your non-toxic journey, where are the big places to look?
Yeah, I mean, I like the places we spend the most time in our kitchen and in our bedroom. We sleep, or in our inner bedroom up to, we might only sleep 8 hours, but we're probably in there 10 to 11. So you
Yeah.
spend a lot of time there. So getting your bedroom safe, and your kitchen, the things that you're cooking and eating, that's the place of family and community. That's where you're going to be training your children. It's not just about you, it's about the next generation. We can't be, so as you might have made mistakes in the past, but you're teaching your children, or grandchildren how to live a safe and non-toxic life. So let's go to those areas. I would say one of the biggest exposures in the lie is using plastic cutting boards. Get a solid wood cutting board, and get it untreated, not with mineral oil, but with beeswax or olive oil. Definitely get rid of all the seed oils that are pro-inflammatory, that are bleached and extracted with hexane and other toxic chemicals. Get the single origin, a friend of ours probably like Casadrinos olive oil, which I'm sure you have a discount for. Just these real single origin olive oils. Olive oil in the kitchen is one of the greatest. 2 tablespoons a day reduces all-cause mortality by like 25%, heart disease by like 50%. So getting a lot of olive oil in your life, getting rid of all. I even don't like ceramic ones, honestly, but I like cast iron and carbon steel and stainless steel in the kitchen. Get rid of all the other stuff. I don't even like the
So
ceramic
none of
coating.
those like caraway or always
Yeah,
pans or anything
yeah.
like
I'm not a
that.
huge fan. I mean, they're relatively safe at low temperature, and if you use wood, but you put them on high temperature and you ruin that coating, and you break the seal, and then you have the aluminum exposure. As soon as those things are scratched, they're bad. So Caraway has moved away, honestly, and has now a stainless steel because they know the kind of gig is up and where it's headed. So they're a really
Yeah,
smart
well,
company.
they went through like an exposure last year, right? Someone studied that, and there was like very high levels of several heavy metals in
Yeah,
their
I mean,
cookware.
it's better than Teflon, but at the same time, that it's just. I'm just saying, what's the best? Make the
Yeah.
best and highest move. Don't be pulled towards convenience. Learn about cooking and how to season a carbon steel pan. It's like nonstick, man. You can flip eggs. It's awesome. It's way
Yeah.
better. It holds the heat. It cooks better. Just it's ancient technology, if you will. So that's in the kitchen. Some big ones. Obviously, getting an RO filter. Make sure you're putting a healthy sea salt in it, that has low lead. Some of the low lead ones out there are Jacobson, Sal Marima. You can get them on Amazon. It's a sea salt from Colima, Mexico. They pull it up. There's another a friend of mine. I forget the name of the company, but it's a Colima sea salt as well. Ava Jane, I believe. Some other lower ones. I just put some into mine today. Was Verisalt, not as clean, but pretty clean. I like to see anything less than 50 parts per billion lead in salt. Jacobson is actually 0. It doesn't have as many minerals. With more minerals comes more lead, and things like that. But so that's a big move. So switch out your salts. Get rid of high lead salt. There's been a lot of influencers that are pushing Baja Gold because of the high minerals, but it comes with high heavy metals. I wouldn't balance that out. I don't think that's a good idea. Then Celtic sea salt was the natural health influencer favorite. It has massive amounts of lead, and the amount that I take, especially when you're using RO water, you're putting that in every day. And because you don't want dead water, you want to create a crystalline structure in the water so it's actually hydrating and you're not just urinating it out. And then, so what else in the kitchen? Glass containers, glass cookware. Just get pure glass. You can even get this from like Williams Sonoma. They just have a lead safe. Mama tested the dishes. They are safe. She came to my house and was testing everything. She's a wild woman.
That's fun.
Yeah, she's loved, and she does a lot of good work. She's also kind of hard, kind of a interesting niche that she's in. She's Jewish, by the way, like yourself.
Baruch
Um,
Hashem.
but there's other influencers that are a little more like she's like 5 ppb lead, like, which is almost impossible, and she'll test a product in a toothpaste that has no lead in it but it has other toxins. I'm like, come on, but she's making a difference in the world. So we all make a difference in our niche, and and we all have our blind spots, and I would say especially me.
Well, and also
But I like to give her credit. I do.
we don't want people to think that everything has to be perfect, because that's an impossibility and a stressor in and of itself.
Yes, it is. And so toxicity is another thing. Like, if you heard that and you're all stressed out by this, don't do that. That'll make you sick, right? So you're living a great life. You are healthy. You are kind. You are loved. You are a good person. Yes, I'm being short with my children because I got bad sleep today, but I forgive myself quickly, because focusing on the negative is just going to give me more of that, right? I'm going to continue to be a bad parent. If I forgive myself quickly and look at the reasons why I'm not functioning and able to handle that stress, I don't react to my children because I want to. I do because I'm in a cortisol heightened state and I'm not relaxed. I didn't do my breath work. I didn't sleep well. I ate too late before bed. I made decisions that caused me not to be the best parent, and I can change that the next day. Thank you for the reminder, God, universe, because I was able to recognize that's not a normal response. I should be able to handle this. I should be able to easily and quietly redirect my child. I know the tools. I got the skill set, right? So, okay, and let's move into don't be afraid. That's what fear will make you just as sick. So go into the bedroom, get an air filter for sure in your bedroom, get organic sheets, get an organic bed. They're $1,000 or less now. They used to be like $4,000, but all these companies have popped up. Organic sheets, cotton is best in my opinion. There's some good companies out there that do some non-toxic bamboo. Linen, even better. The frequency, we talked about that a little bit. I didn't get into it with Lululemon. It's a dead zero frequency, and our body is electrostatic. It is frequency. Yeah. It is energy. That's what we are. We're electric. And when you put polyester on you're essentially short-circuiting the electric connectivity to the world and to your environment. And clothing, cotton, linen, very, very powerful healing. There's even research on it. So get cotton, linen, even bamboo sheets. They have some frequency because they're natural. Get rid of everything that's creating volatile organic compounds in your room. There's a company that's out there. I can't think of it, but they have a bacteria that sucks up volatile organic compounds. You put it in your plants. It's like something. I'll give you an introduction to them. They're out of France. So getting things to lower volatile organic compounds in your room, shutting off the electricity in your room if you can by hitting a switch. If not, moving your bed away from electrical sockets, not turning your phone off, don't charge your phone near you, creating those electric fields. They do affect your sleep and your cellular communication as well. There's more and more research coming out on that. So that's a big one.
I like phones out of the bedroom.
What about that? What's that?
I like phones out of the bedroom. Like, I think it's really bad to have your phone in your bedroom.
Yeah, a lot of people just take them out completely and charge them, and then you're not on your phone. I think a big one too is just stop watching TV, not only from the blue light, but from the flicker from TVs. Almost all TVs flicker, and that creates neurological stress, which stresses out your hormones, which stresses out your adrenal glands. And so that flicker, I used to get headaches, and I thought my eyes are going bad, at 50, unfortunately. And it was from too much computer time. It was from the flicker, the strain. Just it disrupted my eyesight. But I was doing all the things like olive oil and avocado and salt and electrolytes, and I still had these chronic headaches. And what I discovered, every time I watch TV, I cut TV out, because I made a decision in my life is like, look, if I'm going to have a difference, if I'm going to be an amazing father, I need more time. If I'm going to have an impact in my businesses and non-toxic dad, I need more time. And I need more rest, and I need to eliminate something in my life that's addictive. And it was TV, because I would unplug with it. So I did it for that reason, but it was the very thing that eliminated my headaches, because I wasn't getting the eye strain and the stress, through my body, right? Yeah. And it fixed me. So if you're still suffering from migraines and headaches, cut out TV.
And your eyesight probably got better.
It did. it has
Mhm.
improved
Yeah.
dramatically. And I'm not
Yeah.
wearing glasses. I refuse to wear them actually, because I got to the point where they're plastic lenses. It's filtering out the light coming in to my eyes that I need for hormone production. Right, here we go again. And
Yes.
so I'm just like, it just doesn't feel right. So I'm working on that. Right. And you can fix your eyesight. It's a lot of work. You can fix your teeth. It's a lot of work. So phones out of the bedroom. I never keep them, at night, but I keep it away from me. These is a great company, Safe Sleeve or whatever, but they're not going to protect you if you have it to your ear. They'll provide a little bit of protection. They can be worse if the cell tower is here and your here has a weaker signal. It's going to drive the signal. I've measured it with
Yeah.
meters. So always put it in your hand or on a selfie stick and keep it away. Right. Some people actually get inflammation and pain just from the EMF and the inflammation that causes here. So I always do that. Always keep it off my body. I'm chronically losing my phone, but I just try to always keep it away. So there's so many things and biohacks you can do, but these are some of the big ones. Get your bedroom safe, get your kitchen and your food safe, choosing low lead as much as possible. It's a known carcinogen as well. So you really need an endocrine disruptor and, down the line, right? Neurodegenerative, all of it, lead's a bad one. There's no safe levels of it. So that's why I gave lead safe mama a shout, but because she's exposing that really well.
Yeah. Well, this was tremendous. I can't wait to have you back so that we can dig into all those areas that we didn't get to today, like the microbiome, like the mouthwash, like the other toxic products that are out there, but sold to us as safe or necessary. Right. And there's so many of them. So we're going to have you back to get into all of those. And why don't you let everyone know where they can find you and where they
Yeah.
can find your products?
Yeah, so we'll give you a link for Cyto Detox, True Carbon Cleanse. Those things they're different. They bind differently. They're both true binders, and they're really good for decreasing your toxic load. But no pill or potion, just like you said. I'm not going to give you. I don't want you taking a supplement, and I really like you to remove toxins from your life. Like no supplement can fix that. So please do that. So we'll put some links below. True Cellular Formulas. I'm on. They're all those products are Cyto Detox and True Carbon Cleanse are on Amazon as well. We'll have a better deal for you, obviously, in the show notes. We'll do something super special for Dr. Jenn only. Non-Toxic Dad is everywhere on social media. My biggest fan base, which is over 1 million, on Instagram, also on TikTok. Hundreds of thousands there as well. YouTube, the men are coming on my YouTube channel. That's where I find my men. It's 70% over there, and it's growing. 70% men following as well. So you can send your husband YouTube links of me if you want to train them. Send them
There
YouTube.
you go.
Yeah. So and they receive me well, because I'm not in their face. I'm not thumping my chest and taking TRT, and I'm super authentic, and I'm not perfect. I don't have the perfect bod, and I'm not. I'm happy in my body, but at the same time, I'm not. What am I say? I'm not going to make them feel bad because I'm some juiced up, ripped, 50-year-old who shouldn't look like that, right? It's a lot, And I think testosterone replacement has a place, by the way, and I'm sure you do too. But I'm 600 naturally, so because of all the detoxification that I did when I was sick. Just so women, I had my testosterone was in the bucket. I had no sex drive. I had no assertiveness. I couldn't look you in the eye. Like I was very, very weak, low testosterone. But after doing all the stuff right, my testosterone did recover. And I think that should be the same for women. As you do this, your natural hormones can recover and be part of it. To an extent. Yeah, definitely. You're not going to get back to normal. That's for sure. You'll get better, but like I should be at like 800-900, right? And so I could take TRT. I made a decision at this point in my life not to do that. So anyway, I'm not intimidating. So share it there, YouTube, and then nontoxicdad.com. A really powerful docuseries that I did with Dr. Pedram Shojai. It's called Home Sick Home. and that's how your home is making you sick, that's a great resource. It's really well done. HBO award-winning producer. So it was, over $1 million have been invested into the production of that film. You can watch it for free, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I encourage everyone to watch that documentary because it has great information in there. And I think the more that we understand our why and we get reinforcement for that, it does serve to fuel you, right? And it helps you to continue to make these good decisions. Um, and it's not easy, and you can't change everything in a day.
Mm-hmm.
That's impossible. So don't expect to, but know that, you didn't make all of these iterations in a day, a week, or a month. I certainly didn't make all of these iterations in a day or week or a month. And
No.
this is a years long process.
Yes.
And as we always say, health is not a destination, it's a journey. And
Yep.
this is always, always, always changing for all of us. And all we're meant to do is be better tomorrow than we are today. And incremental changes have huge, tremendous rewards. And I just love this Gandhi quote that if you think small things don't matter, try sleeping with a mosquito in the room.
I love that. So true. Ruins your night.
Yeah.
Ruins your night.
Small
Even
things matter.
Even a fly in your room could keep you
Yes.
up all night. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I don't want a nasty little mosquito.
Warren, thank you so much for being here today.
It was an honor.
And we'll do this again real soon. And thank you all for joining us today. And if you enjoyed this, please like it, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and know that I will be back next week, same time, same place. It's Dr. Jenn. Bye for now.